Hi everyone, my name is Charlie and today I would like to talk about the books that I read in November 2014. Throughout this year I have been going back over the books that I read a decade ago, seeing whether I remember them, whether the authors went on to become favourites, or indeed if I just have any little anecdotes about those books. We are going to go straight in with Married Love by Tessa Hadley. This was a short story collection that I acquired for uni, and in 2014 I'd left uni, so I didn't actually ever get to it. I really enjoyed Tessa Hadley's prose. I thought that she was a fantastic short story writer and I liked what she did with craft. However, I have never gone back and read anything more by the writer, and I've borrowed books from the library, I've borrowed books from the charity shop or bought them from the charity shop as well, and just never got back round to her. But she's definitely a writer who I was impressed by. I no longer own this book because this was, again, back in the days of when I would read one book by an author, decide that was me, I'd read the author now, so I didn't have to worry about reading them again, and then I never went back to them, which I'm slowly trying to change nowadays, but I still haven't got back to Tessa Hadley. Then we have Wilson, which is a graphic novel, and I remember thoroughly enjoying this graphic novel, but in my mind I'm currently confusing it with Nelson, which I read earlier in 2014 and was another favourite of mine. So should I have looked up these books beforehand, as I did with books we've got coming up later? Probably, but I have to say I know that I enjoyed Wilson because I was enjoying any graphic novel that wasn't related to superheroes. So seeing stories told in a graphic novel form was very interesting to me and I liked seeing it done. However, I don't remember Wilson. Then I have Down the Rabbit Hole. I believe the first one I read was by Juan Pablo Villalobos, and I did look this book up before this video because I have another book called Down the Rabbit Hole that I also read. And so I saw the first Down the Rabbit Hole at either the charity shop or the library, and it was a very short crime novel. And when I've looked it up, apparently it is related to Alice in Wonderland in some way, and there's a drug cartel and there's a pygmy hippopotamus. And nowadays, if I read the blurb for this book, I'd be like, yes, I need to read this. It sounds weird enough that I will like it. But I don't actually recall this book at all. I know that after I read this one, I decided I was also going to read a different book called Down the Rabbit Hole, which was a middle grade crime novel, which was an Echo Falls mystery. I bought 3 of them from the charity shop and then only read the first one. I believe that it was by Patrick Abraham, the middle grade one. And the only reason that I read both these books because I thought, wouldn't it be funny to read 2 books with the same title in the same week as each other? Well, no, it wasn't actually, because I've forgotten them both and I probably mix up the plots of either of them. So there's probably in my mind like a middle grade murder mystery going on with a pygmy hippopotamus and a drug cartel. Either way, I know that at the time, I think I didn't get on with the first one by Juan Pablo Villalobos, but I think that I would go back to it nowadays, now that I'm older, now that I'm reading more fiction of this ilk. And I think that the Peter Abraham crime novel for kids is actually a great middle grade, and I mean, it's edging towards the more young adult market, so I'd say it's like later middle grade. But I think that if you have a child who's interested in crime fiction, it'd be a great start for them. Or if you like a bit of a non-threatening crime novel, it'd be a good place to go. I thought I'd got another book here, but apparently I haven't. I do this all the time. I think that, oh, this book's got to have been read then. But it wasn't. Spoilers for the beginning of December. I decided that I would finish reading the Miss Marple series after reading Down the Rabbit Hole. Now I have to wonder, why did I only read 4 books in November 2014? I can talk about this next month, but sometimes I was, my reading would slow down. And I'm looking and I'm wondering, yes, we have, right, so I know now. This was the month that a staff member was fired by the charity I work for. And because of that, I ended up doing overtime, and me and the other shop assistant at the time had to figure out how we were going to work, because the head office was saying that they still only wanted one of us 3 days a week, one of us 4 days a week. The fact that I didn't get the 4-day-a-week job used to like really annoy me. In fact, maybe it annoys me now. I don't think it does, because as with then and as with now, I still wanted the time to do more events. And when I first got my job, I was doing more events. Like, prior to me actually bringing Our Doris out in 2015, I did so much of like touring with this book, visiting open mics and reading stories from Doris. And like I think that I even turned up to like poetry open mics and I read from Doris just to get her name out there. And then the book came along, and so I had all these people who've been waiting for the book. It's actually a very good way to do things. I think it's one of the reasons why so many singers wait to release an album until there's a few tracks out, because then more people are going to buy it. Back then, in this November 2014, the manager is now no longer there, and me and this other shop assistant are having to figure out how we're going to work. People are taking holidays, and we're basically thrust into this situation where both of us are, one's a late teen and one of us is in our early 20s, and we've just been put in charge of quite a lot of volunteers who are a significant amount older than us, who show us barely any sort of respect, because they're being told what to do by children, basically. And this was a tough time at the charity shop as well, because someone from another one of the shops had kind of thrust themselves upon us, hoping he'd be made the manager, and so that was causing rows. I tell you, there was so much drama within this one charity shop. It's no wonder that I had the flaming period of unfathomable sadness after this. Yeah, so I had so much overtime. It's weird. I hadn't even considered that. I can actually remember. Basically, I received a phone call informing me what had happened. In fact, they didn't even say that. They said so-and-so no longer works for the company. And my area manager used to live around the corner from me. And she told me that she would be coming and picking up my keys that evening. Which, I have to say now, I don't know whether it made any sense at all, because the manager they got rid of would have also had their own keys. Either way, this area manager turns up at my door. I give them my keys, and then I don't really see anybody until the weekend. So like everybody's, it was a funny situation there. That's why I only read 4 books in November 2014. I no longer own any of them, and for the most part, I did not like 3 out of 4 of them. Well, I don't remember any of them. I believe I liked 3 out of 4. I believe I might have liked all 4, but I can't say for certain. There's probably some evidence on Goodreads somewhere of what my original ratings were of these books, but Charlie today does not remember them. I have to figure out what I'm going to do when I talk to you about December's books, because I made a decision that I wasn't going to talk about a specific author a few years ago, and unfortunately I chose to read this series about a boy wizard that was incredibly popular during my childhood in December 2014. And that was the last time I read it all in one go. But I might not talk about that next month. We will see. For now, have you read any of these books? Have you ever had scandals take place at your workplace? Feel free to let me know in the comments. I hope that you have enjoyed this video, because until next time, that is all.